because we want to give our guests Joffany, and yeah, I see y'all talking. Hey.
Okay, JK. Be
Yes,
sure to push record, please, sir.
it is. I did hit record. I think it's
Okay,
recording.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank
it's,
you.
it's
Can you
recording.
mute?
Yeah, if everybody would mute yourselves, that would help a little bit here. And you could even click off your video. That gives us a better bandwidth. So let me see if I can get mute. Oh, okay. All right, guys. Okay, so we will go and we'll get started here. Speaker view. Let me see here. Speaker view. Let me see here, full screen. Nope, here we go. Okay, all right. All right, we are recording. I'm J.K. Baker again, and we welcome everybody this Sunday night. We have a lot of new people that have just gotten into Vollara. We are so excited to have you part of this team. It's going to be an exciting night tonight. I am really pumped. And Joffany and Mark, I'm going to be calling on y'all in just a minute. I'm going to try to set the stage for you guys with 2 or 3 slides here. And I've got your list of businesses that I can pull up, Joffany, that you sent me. Also, let's see, there was a couple of the pictures that you sent me. And as you're sharing tonight, whenever you want Donna to share a testimony, you just insert that in, okay? So let me real quickly, before we get introduce Joffany and Mark, let me share my screen. I'm gonna go through something extremely fast, and I will focus on this again next Sunday night. Let me see here. Okay. There we go. All right. The market for our current lead products, Air and Surface Pro and the mobile unit, okay? I'm going to go through it quickly. Active Pure Technologies, LLC, which was formerly Aris Holdings, LLC, they changed the name about 2 months ago, has sold less than 1 million air units since 2009, when they bought the patents, the original patents for the product that we have today, which that product has been improved quite a bit. They will sell, and this is what I want you to catch, they will sell over 1 million in 2021. So to set the stage, they have sold less than 1 million air units since 2009. They will sell well over 1 million in 2021. Number 2, today, Active Pure Technologies, LLC has the only real solution, and this is not a sales pitch, guys. We're going to go through some basic facts to help you understand, help me. I had to go through this myself to understand where we are in the marketplace. So today, Active Pure Technologies, hold one second, let me get a pen so I can mark if necessary. Let me see. Okay. Today, Active Pure Technologies LLC has the only real solution to kill viruses in the air and on surfaces in enclosed spaces. COVID-19 pandemic has opened the door for you and me. We have no real competition. Now, there's competition out there, but as far as duplicating what we can do, there is no competition out there. Number 3, if you were Joe Urso, what would you do? Okay, so let's play like tonight. What would Joe Urso, if you were Joe Urso, what would you be doing? Well, number 1, you determine how big the market is for Active Pure. Send a letter to President Biden, which all of you are aware of that letter. If not, you can go to your back office and it's there. And I don't know if you realize how big that move is, okay? So, number 4, 130,930 K through 12 schools in the USA, 15,500 in Canada. You add all of that up and you've got 10,000 there. I mean, let me get my, sorry, here's my cursor. Well, having a hard time here finding my cursor. Well, if you can look at number 4, if you take those schools, 146,430 schools in North America, USA and Canada, and you figure there's about 70 classrooms and offices in each school, you've got 10,250,100 classrooms in Canada and the USA, which is our territory. Number 5, there are 660,755 restaurants in the USA plus 88,000 in Canada. So if you add the 660,000 in the USA, the 88,000 in Canada, 748,755 restaurants. If the average restaurant had 3 of our units in there, that would mean that particular market would need 2,246,265 of our air units. Number 6, 128,400,000 households in the USA plus 12,400,000 in Canada. That's 140,800,000 households that need our products. Are you getting the drift here? Remember, you are Joe Urso tonight. You're sitting there with your key management team together and they said, okay, we've got the solution. Nobody else has a solution that we have. We are going to market this solution to the world, but let's focus just on North America. So they would look at these figures. We got to get manufacturing up. We've got to get everything ready to go. Number 7, there are 30,200,000 small businesses in the USA, 1.2 million in Canada, a total of 31,400,000, 94,200,600 is enough that need our units. 5,600,000 office buildings in the USA plus 482 in Canada. You add those two together and you have 6,882,000 divided by 2. So we're going to divide that by 2 because a lot of those are back up there in commercial buildings. There would be independent business or maybe some restaurants in there. We're going to divide that by times that by 50 because in an average office building in North America, there's about 50 offices in there. That's 152,050,000. Let's go next. There are 276 million vehicles registered in the USA. There's 35 million vehicles registered in Canada. That's 311 million vehicles registered that need our mobile unit. Number 10, 698,050,600 Air and Surface Pros mobiles needed in North America. Now, guys, you got to look at these numbers. Again, we're going to jump on this real strong next week, but I want to kind of set the stage of the market that we have, that you and I have, that's out there. If Vollara just sold 1% of the units needed, that's number 11, we would have to sell 6,980,506,000 Air, Surface, and Pro and mobiles. Okay, so when Joe Urso and his team, remember, Joe Urso is our research and development company, Active Pure Technologies LLC, and a manufacturer. They have their own distribution and distribution of their own products. Okay, That's the way they run their business. Okay. And I know some of you are getting concerned. So, well, you know, the Aris franchisees, you've got Active Tech that sells some of these are all divisions within Joe Urso's company that he has. What want you to see tonight is the same thing that Joe Urso would sit down and see. They can manufacture the product, but they've got to have distribution all throughout North America and really the world. The world is demanding our product right now. So what I want you to see tonight is that the market is so big. I don't have any inside information. I have no clue, but I know if I was in Joe Urso's shoes sitting there and I knew the market out there, this market that we're talking about is 698 million places that the Air and Surface Pro and the mobile can be placed. With the current distribution track, there's no way that we're going to reach all the country, all of North America. So what we have to learn to do, guys, is we're Vollara, and we're unique in that distribution of the products that come out of Active Tech Technologies. Okay. And we're going to talk about that real briefly, but I want you to see how big this market is. Just if you bump into somebody else that's selling the product or a similar product within the constraints of Active Pure Technology, okay, you have to understand this market is huge. You can't get caught up in that. We're going to grow and we're going to grow and we're going to grow like crazy. Okay, let's go to the next page. The market for our Vollara business opportunity, just quickly, 30 million people have lost their jobs, 2 million in Canada. 10,000 retail stores have closed or projected to close in 2021. Number 3, 5 million homeowners in the USA have missed a mortgage payment. Number 4, 100,000 plus small businesses have closed their doors in the USA. 5, bankruptcy filings are up 50%. 6, the number of disgruntled employees increasing every day. 32 million plus 5 million plus 100,000. I get those numbers. The 32 million comes from number 1 up there. The 5 million comes from number 3. The 100,000 comes from number 4. That's a minimum of 37,100,000 people that could use our business opportunity. Now, as you know, we all know the federal government is basically printing money, and they are distributing money all over the country. They're going to do everything they can to get the country up and going again. And we support whatever needs to be done in that. But in the meantime, we have 37,100,000, a very minimum people that need our business opportunity. 37 million. You need to let these numbers really soak in. 700 million places need our product. 37 million need our opportunity. Sid says, and he did about on 3 or 4 of our Zooms a few days ago, he said, guys, my advice to you is build fast. And I second that, I third that, I fourth that, and I fifth that. Build fast. You need, if you're going to build a business, you really need to get your act together right now. You need, well, I'll talk about that in just a minute. JK says, show Mike Jackson's PowerPoint and use the aspvollara.com site. You got 2 great tools there. And all of you should know that Mike Jackson's PowerPoint is at Michael Jackson Senior SR .com. But go to your upline, they can give you that. Let's keep it simple, but now is the time to really move. And this is perfect for Joffany and Mark to share with you about what we need done. So what you do, number 9, work your list like crazy. And you should know what your list is. We've talked about that in the past. And sponsor people like crazy. Here is the key. expand your network so you can cover more of the USA and Canada. We're doing these Zooms because we can't travel. How do we, how does, let me see, I just said the name Gail Queen. I mentioned Gail a while ago, and I just said hello to Gail. So I'm going to use Gail and just say, how does Gail, how does she get her team to talk to people in Michigan, or to talk to people in Alaska, or to talk to people in Ontario? How do you do that? How do you go out of the small city of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and or even smaller than Tuscaloosa, Northport, Alabama? And how do you expand all over North America? How can you personally expand your business all across the country? And again, we're going to be talking about that in depth next Sunday night. And so we have something in Vollara that no other division has. Okay. Now, hang with me right here. Active Pure Technologies, LLC, is a huge company. Okay. As I said earlier, it's research and development, and they manufacture their own products and they sell their own products through the different divisions they have set up. Okay. We are one of those divisions, and they might add some more divisions. I mean, you got to look at the numbers now. Just think and look at the numbers. Basically 700 million places in just the United States and Canada need an Air and Surface Pro or mobile. 700 million. That is twice the population of the United States. Okay. The market is so huge. You want to get your share of that market. Okay. And Vollara, we are sitting in the catbird seat. Okay. Subscribe and save. It's huge. Others don't have this. This is what's going to give you, let me just go on down, and residual income, and North America, no territory restrictions. Those three things right there put us in the catbird seat. Okay. We are, and I'm just encouraging every one of you, today is the day. Okay. Today. Don't wait and say, well, I'm gonna get my ducks in a row and I'll get started when school's out, or I'm gonna get started after I have my vacation, or I'm gonna get started after football season. I'm not gonna listen. Just from my heart to you, okay, my heart to you. Now is the time. We're just in a very unique place. Joe Urso has found himself in a very unique place. And I'm just glad they have the manufacturing facilities. I'm glad they've got the finances to add production lines so that they can produce the product that we need. I'm just saying, for us in Vollara, those of you who want to build a business, and you want to build a business that will last longer than the period that we're in right now. This period may end 2 years, may go 5 years, may go 20. I don't know. I have no clue. But with our technology and the publicity that Joe Urso is going to make available about this technology and about these products that we have available, it behooves us to tell the story as much as we can. I mean, just go overboard telling the story of what is available, and you can give people access to it, and then sponsor people and find business builders and expand your network all across North America. Just since last March, there's been thousands and thousands and thousands of people just added to Becky in my organization. Every single state, every single province in Canada has a distributor that is in our group. And I use Roger Barrett's group. They are same thing. They got distributors all aboard, all over the country. This is what you want. Gail and Jeff Queen and Jennifer and Amy Fiscus and Amy Ball, and I'm naming some of our first level, and Bridget, and I don't it's, and all of you guys, you want that same type network all over the country, and we have the system to do that so that you can do it without going to all over the place. Okay, so with that said, we're going to cover a lot of that tomorrow. So I am going to we're going to jump over here, and I need to if I stop sharing my screen. Okay, and somebody's getting, hey BJ, that's what's on my screen. Let me share my screen. I want to put this on the screen. No, I want to put this on the screen. Then I'll go do that. Okay. Okay, Mark and Joffany, if you will unmute yourselves. And as y'all can see on this, Mark, I didn't know you were that tall.
7'3".
How tall are you? See, I'm a short little runt, so I admire tall people.
6 even.
Oh, wow.
And in my age, I have not shrunk 1/4 of an inch.
But I have.
That's because I sleep a lot.
Oh, you guys are just a beautiful couple, and thank you so much for your willingness to share tonight. Mark and Joffany, for everybody, I think everybody on the call knows you guys, and Platinum 2's in the business, and have done an excellent job in protecting their community. That's the way I look at it. You guys have the Air and Surface Pro, and all throughout your community, and that's protecting the community. It's protecting people's lives, and I just think you've done a wonderful job, and I appreciate so much your willingness to share tonight. And I'm going to leave you up there. I want y'all just briefly share your story, Vollara, what you see in this. And then if you don't mind, I'd like to ask some questions that would lead over into Mark, you sharing how you approach and how you, and we'll get into that. But I'd like for you guys just kind of share your story. Y'all look so happy there, and I want everybody to know you. So, Joffany and Mark.
Take it away.
Yes, take it away.
Thank you, JK. First of all, I'd like to thank you for having us here. And you are such a wonderful mentor and leader. And I just love you. Oh, and the fact that we have the same initials make us particularly close.
That's right, yeah.
And we're almost the same age, although I'm older than you, believe it or not. So,
but you look so good for your age and so much better than me. So go ahead.
That's why I'm keeping her.
That's right. I agree.
But I first wanted to start by kind of introducing Mark, because I'm usually the person who's on the calls. And Mark and I have been together for 40 years. And he started out his career as a police officer in San Jose, California. He had majored in criminal justice, and he stayed with the police department a couple of years, and he decided he wanted to do something different. So he became a counselor in Job Corps. I don't know if everyone on the call knows what Job Corps, but it's a company that took or takes pre-delinquent youth and helps them get started on a good, productive path. So he really loves doing that. And basically, he has his master's degree in counseling. He's done a lot of different things. He's been a consultant, he's been a trainer, and he's really likes to see himself as an educator. So when Vollara came along, he was very, very interested in the product and did a lot of research. And he decided that this was something he was enough interested in that he wanted to go forward with it. So I will let him take over now, and he's the salesperson in our partnership. We are partners in Vollara, and that makes things so much easier. I kind of take over the back room and the emails and the team building, and he's out and selling. And he's not sold before. I've never sold before. So this is brand new for both of us. We've been with Vollara for 10 months now. This is our 10th month. And the only thing I'll say before I turn it over to him is that in our 4th and 5th months of Vollara, and I think you know this, JK, we were completely out of debt for the first time in our lives. And that means no more credit card debt, no more loans, etc. So Vollara has been wonderful for us. So
Fabulous.
say what you were going to say.
Well, first of all, can we get rid of that
The
picture?
Oh, well, let me see here. I'll get a new share here. And I was going to share this one. And let me see if it is one that would be okay.
There you go.
How about
Perfect.
that?
So
Okay.
I'm just trying to, since I haven't done this for almost 6 months, 7 months with you before, JK,
Right.
when we're doing this, is the screen going to be primarily this document, or does it ever show us full screen?
I can show you full screen. I can do whatever.
Okay.
You
This
just
is
tell
simply,
me what to do.
well, I'm going to first of all start off by giving the audience a caveat. Because most of my career, I was in an educator mode, almost a management consultant for almost 15 years. I taught community college for 10 years. I use the word you a lot, but understand, listeners, that it really is I. What I've learned, what the wisdom I've gathered has come as a result of what I ran up against, transcended, and sometimes not so much. So when I present, be mindful that I will use the word you, and it's not designed for me to be lecturing to you, but it's just how I oftentimes communicate my experience. With that said, that was an interesting.
Yeah, Lisa, if you would mute yourself, Lisa Bumpus. Okay, go ahead.
What you're looking at is a list that when I go out, I have about 5, 6, or 7, depending on the evolution of the material of Vollara. But this is the very first page I walk in and show people in our community. We have a community of about 60,000 in the winter visitors. It drops down in the heat of the summer to about 25,000. But no matter where I go, I always hand this to them and says, are you familiar with these locations, and that we have our technology? And I use the word technology more than I do almost anything else, because it helps me package what I'm presenting. And they look at it and they recognize it, and then they spend a little bit of time usually looking at it, and sometimes they get a wow, and sometimes they get oh. And then if I go into a medical area, I will have highlighted the fact that we're in one of the medical areas that everybody is familiar with. So that's how I use this particular document. So we can switch over to us full screen.
Okay. Somebody show me how.
I don't know how to do it.
I need to go to full screen.
It's a drum roll.
Yeah, screen sharing. Let me see. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah.
JK, once they talk, they'll just come up. where
Okay,
you're
there
at.
you go. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Okay, Mark, I think you should be.
Yeah.
My presentation tonight really will take 2 directions. One, how have I been able to interact with Vollara and across the different businesses in our community. My single sales has always been a spinoff as a result of the connections that I've made. I'll highlight briefly the ability that seems to have come up as I have interacted with people, and I'll explain that in just a second. The very first place that I contacted was our golf club. And I talked to them and I said, well, first of all, I said, I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to believe, and that sounds a little over the top. And I spent about 10, 15 minutes. And with that, the person, his name is Dan Essie, who owns it and has quite a bit of money, said, oh, that's great. We'll take 4. Wow. Is it that easy? I said to myself. The next thing I did was spent the next month trying to get to another person. I talked a lot to a lot of people, and it like the universe was not going to open up any doors for the first 3 weeks. But I then got to a gatekeeper in a restaurant organization that owns 7 restaurants. They bought it in June, and they bought the technology because they had employees that didn't want to come back to work. And as soon as I told Tim Shagru, who owns the 7 restaurants, he said, wow, I really want to do this because I want my people to come back. So he did it, and they came back, because then what I did is I did 3 presentations to his staff to explain the technology. And we had some real doubters in there at the end of the presentation. I was able to have them wowed enough to understand that Tim Shagru had just spent almost $18,000 to make their space safe and
16.
Well, it ended up as 16 because one of the persons didn't, his wife didn't want him. So that triggered the next go round, and everybody's had this experience. What I'm really highlighting this fact is that there's a chain of events for purchasing. And the next thing that happened was that we have a group called the London Bridge Resorts, and they're a very large group, and they have about 200 to 400 rooms. I'm not really sure. The manager of the place is the mayor also, Cal Sheehy. He was in Shagru's and he saw it, he liked it. They asked me to do a presentation. I did a presentation. They immediately bought 12 of the pros, 30 of the mobiles, because they have a lot of small offices, and that was it. Then they were having some difficulty with their own staff coming up against COVID, and so they decided to buy personals. They ended up buying 34 personals for all of their staff. And I also did a presentation to all the managers of the organization. Point being that it was a gift that just kept on giving, because the owner, Tom Flatley, called me about 3 weeks ago and said, I want you to do a presentation to the animal.
The Western Arizona Humane Society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, because I want to gift them with 20 personals. So I did that. Our Catholic Church, after about 4 months of not being able to get to a very busy priest, we had to sit down, and he ended up buying 16. But as a result of that, I had contacted the hospice, and the manager of the hospice, who's been there for about 17 years, loved the technology, but couldn't get past the board. They didn't say no, they didn't say yes. Most of us on this call probably have experienced a lot of what I call deer in the headlights. Yeah. They love the technology. They don't say no. I've been doing this for 9 months, and I've gotten, I think, 4 no's. I don't get no's. They just don't. And I think some of it has to do with I'm a newbie when it comes to closing. That's another whole world. And that's what I've been working on for quite a while, asking for the sale. But the point being is that they went, the head of the board is a Catholic, saw that Father Chauncey had put it in the Catholic Church, 16 of them.
In the school.
and also 5 of those went into their school. The hospice ended up buying 21. My point is that it required for me a lot of patience and a lot of understanding or relearning of how humans out there take in information, what they do with it, when do they make a decision, how do they make a decision. What Joffrey and I have done a lot of is emails. And the way we do emails is not, oh, by the way. What we do is we find new information, and Vollara has been wonderful because it keeps giving us reasons for emailing. Way back in June, they just came and got the class 2 medical device, huge. The additional information of 3 minutes. So that gave us entree to constantly, gently reconnect with people. I'm in a community that allows me to actually go out, and that's the way I like to work. I would much rather go out. I'm not a computer geek. Joffrey is superb at it, but that's how I've made my sales. The gatekeepers are always an issue, and I've had to come up with a way to transcend gatekeepers, and they're everywhere, especially with businesses, the people who you walk in and they say, let me have it and I'll give it to X, Y, and Z. They give it to the person, you never hear from them again. And I've learned to say, I'm going to give this to you, and I know you're going to give it to the person who's the decision maker. I want to call tomorrow and see if there's a chance to get an appointment. All it takes is just 10 minutes and explain the material that I just handed you. So that is a way to move past the gatekeepers when they want to be moved past. When they don't, you're just stuck and you try to figure out how to get around them. The only way I know to get around them is word of mouth from other organizations within the city that have our technology. That's why that list that we showed you has a lot of locations, and all those locations were not sold by us. There's about a dozen of them that were sold by our associates, which is a great gift that they gave themselves and us. So multiple contacts to attempt to close sales. I got a good piece of awareness with Michael Jackson when he said, it takes sometimes, on the average, between 5 and 10 reconnects to actually close a sale. And I think a lot of us think that if we go in 1 time or 2 times or 3 times, we check them off and said, all right, we used to be told in this kind of business, if you don't make a sale, just touch that button on your chest that says next. That's partly true, but in this kind of community, it doesn't hurt every time you get new information. When I got new information, Joffrey and I would put together an email and send it up to the key people that we were trying to influence. They never disliked, they never had anything negative to say about the technology. They loved it. What's not to love? It sells itself. But the closing part is always the adventure.
I just want to say one thing about emails. When Mark said we send out a lot of emails, they're follow-up emails. They're not cold emails, except on occasion. They're mostly after he's made a contact, and I'll send a follow-up email, either asking for an appointment or it's some other piece of information that will move us forward, hopefully. It doesn't always move us forward. Sometimes emails just go in a black hole and they're not responded to. That's why we're so fortunate living in a community where we live about within 5 and 10 minutes of every business here. So for Mark to go out and follow up in person, that's easy. For other distributors who are making sales in other locations, they can't go there. So there has to be a way to follow up with either a phone call or an email or something that will enable them to keep the connection going.
Good.
I think we are all aware that probably the most powerful marketing tool is word of mouth. Word of mouth is what sells almost everything. People telling somebody else, you interacting and talking. That's always been my not my fallback, but my primary way of interacting. So as I was going through today and yesterday with Joffrey, as after JK, you had asked us to come on, I was trying to think about value added. What could we actually offer you? Because almost everything I've talked about, most of you have already had the experience of, and I don't want to imply at all that we have the answer. We have an answer that keeps getting modified and adjusted and shifted. What we're currently chasing right now is part of that $1.9 trillion that is going to be voted on and is going to be distributed amongst schools and states and counties and cities. And we've sent emails out with that reality back into the awareness of people we've interacted with before in counties and cities and schools who said, we don't have the money right now. They are going to have the money. And if you can get your head and your technology in the foreground of their awareness of what they could do and should do, that I think is a big boost. I have 2 meetings both in Kingman, which is the county seat for Mojave County, with 2 key players, one for the county and one for the city. And it really is just to highlight who we are, what we do, and the fact that if they like us, and there's no reason for them not to, because we transcend everything they've ever tried. They have what I call a spray and pray mechanism. They just spray everything out there and just hope it works and hope it works. And the CDC says it'll work, and then they say, and we're not sure it works. We work, and that's what they need to understand. And so I gently bring them up personal to that reality. So that's what we're working on a lot now. The other part of my world has been dealing with me, Mark. Something that doesn't get a lot of conversation amongst folks like us, all the way across, no matter what your age is what do we do with this mind that we're dealing with on a daily basis? I highlight the fact in my own reality that there's 4 Ds that we all bump up against, if not every day, almost every week to some degree. And it's called doubt, disappointment, discouragement, and disillusionment.
Yes.
They're huge because we all want to be successful. I had to come to the realization that if my goal was selling, I was going to be in a lot of pain. To say my goal is to sell, to make a sale. I had to back off that because that can be very painful if you think that's your only goal. That's an end result of goals that are much more relevant to me, which is understand when any of those 4 Ds, doubt, disappointment, discouragement, disillusionment, enter into my conscious mind. I have a teacher years ago that said, people who have depression, if you ask them to make a list of why they're depressed, they can come up with 20 or 30 things. But then you have to ask yourself, having that list, does it resolve depression? The answer is does not. It never will. It just highlights why they're depressed. You have to have a go-to position. A go-to position for me is an imagery that takes me to a positive place. I learned years ago that in quantum physics, consciousness and energy creates the nature of reality. In other words, if I can think in a way that allows me to move forward every single day with the context that I need to make, which is where my goals are. My goal is to make contacts, is to present, and to learn better how to close, but non-offensively. Then that energy is what moves forward into the conscious quantum world. I don't want to use the word the universe, but everybody affects their quantum environment.
That's right.
And if we have the willingness to focus on imagery that moves you and your desires forward, then it really highlights in the world that you're working in a positive vein. Years ago, we would take a 5x7 card and create pictures that symbolize what we wanted. By doing that, that's where I go. I'll show you what I use as a card.
Oh, yeah.
And all of those, that writing is not what I focus on. It's just part of the imagery. What it does is it says big sales. It says La Paz County, Thurston County, Lake Havasu City. It says Arizona schools, Mojave County, Indian tribes. And of course, the big one is Diamond Resorts, which we're moving up the chain with them. And we'll see how that all unfolds. And I do this because it's very easy for me to be aware, and something that most people have, but they don't understand or utilize. It's called the observer. The observer, I view it as something sitting right here with no voice. And it's just that aspect of my brain that knows when I'm off kilter. And it's with me all the time. And it tells me without saying anything, without having a second voice back in my head, is that's where I'm at. It doesn't tell me what to do. It doesn't highlight anything. It just lets me know that I have an option in that moment to change that reality. And I may have spent the last week bumping up against all kinds of situations that did not result in a sale. And I have to keep reminding myself, okay, you're really out here to make contacts. You're really out here to tell about a technology that is so outrageous that it just makes people sit there or stand there and look at you and say, wow, I did not know that even existed, because it's a hidden gem, and it's no longer being hidden. It's around all the time. But I have to, when I'm sitting in the morning having my coffee, I need to scan what I need to do that day. But I go back to that card every time I sit down and attempt to just kind of kick back and relax. That's what I focus on. And I don't focus on it with any extra energy. I just see the picture. And I do it in a way that doesn't allow any negativity, any of the 4Ds to enter into my reality, because they're alive and well, and they always will be, because as humans, we often doubt our ability to do X, Y, and Z, to think X, Y, and Z. We also end up getting discouraged as part of being on planet Earth. We get discouraged. What do you do with that discouragement? You either hang out with it, feel sorry for yourself, myself, you become the victim of your efforts, or you say, okay, that's alive and well. What do I want to do about it? Okay, what I have to do is I have to get out of the house and make contacts. It's the action that makes the difference for me, because the action erases or puts it into the background all of those emotional issues that most people drag around. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're salesmen. When I was a kid, I used to convince my mother I didn't need to take the garbage out when they told me I needed to take it out. What was I doing? I was selling her on my point of view. And we've been doing this throughout most of our lives. So to say that we're not salespeople, if you've been talking and convincing and cudgeling and moving people's points of view around, you've been selling. This is the easiest technology in the world to sell. Only way I can do it is I need to get out of the chair. I need to look at the list that I have and either email or go out and find new contacts or make appointments. And that's how I deal with all that negativity that floats around me. And I'm assuming that we all wrestle with the biggie, which probably more than anything else is discouragement. You just feel discouraged. You've tried and tried, and it's not clicking. And you get a period of time, and then it clicks, and you're not quite sure how it clicked, but you're pleased. But we can only ride the joy of that for a very small period of time. And now we're back into saying, okay, what's the next forward step? So that I wanted to be able to at least share with you what I go through probably every day, only because I'm part of this planet that has a lot of ways to figure out how to kick me in the tush and make me decide, how do I want to feel about what I'm looking at, what I want to experience, and how do I want to experience me? And I don't want to experience myself in any of the venues that I just described, since I know how not to. And I make a card, or I do an email, or I go out and I talk with people. So that's a big part of what makes me function on a daily basis. And I have to remember, and I think all of us run up against this, what am I doing with my own physicality? I have to walk. I need to burn off any of the nervous energy or the elements in our society that are going to impact me negatively. I need to do it by making sure my body works. Vollara has wonderful tools in their they're not pharmaceuticals, but nutraceuticals. So it's important for me and Jothany to at least walk 3-4 times a day, and to go to the gym
A week.
a week. I like the other one. Yeah. And I just wanted to indicate that we can get trapped in the busyness of a business. It doesn't do you any well any good down the road if you forget about the person that you're living with in the mirror, which is you, me, and that we don't discount that, because it's a daily and a weekly activity that we have to do. Otherwise, our world doesn't work well.
I just want to say one thing. I'm going to have Mark talk about the machines, the cleaning, before he forgets.
Yeah, I have found that I keep going back to a lot of the big sales about cleaning. Cleaning is a big issue. We don't want to think about it, because once we make a sale, that should be it. My goodness gracious, they should treat it like their first or second born, but they don't. They like it, they look at it, they stare at it for a couple of weeks, then it becomes invisible. So what we do regularly is we contact people, and the reason we do this is because it's more sales. I went to the golf club, and their machines were getting pretty dirty, and the general manager has got his hands full. This is high season down here. So I said, I'll clean them for you. So I took them home one at a time, and I had learned a month or two ago how to take the 2 screws off the back that allows the lid to get lifted up, and how to take the I call it a propeller. It's not, it's a fan blade, and take it out and clean it. So I did a super cleaning, and they were really happy. In fact, the owner's wife asked me if I would do that for hers. She's now going to buy a second one, because she realizes that her square footage is not adequate for the one that she had. I hound several different companies, because I have a vested interest in their success, not just the sale. And I do it really with no thanks. I really don't care about being thanked. All I want to do is make sure that if the word of mouth of their technology is going to work, they need to see that I'm there, and that I'm supporting them, and that I have no vested interest in getting anything from it, except to know that that technology is really keeping people healthy.
So I'll just add something to this here. Mark has gone into various restaurants that we've sold machines to, and either the machine isn't on, or only the fan is on and the Active Pure isn't on, or it's butted up against the wall, so it's not getting the proper distribution. So Mark will gently chide them say, hey, this is an expensive machine.
And this is
that
here
you
for
bought,
you.
And this is here for
And
you.
this is,
You want it to work.
this was, they spent a lot of money to create this technology for you. And this is what we do in some of our locations. This unit periodically got turned off. And so we ended up putting this picture on this unit with the explanation of what it was. And we always point out to the staff, not just the lead staff, of the little tiny A Pure tube. Most people miss that. I wish it was bigger, because people, as you have run up against, when they see the blue circle, it's on. That's all they think. If the blue circle means it's on. No, it doesn't. And so I showed them how every day, come in and look at this thing. This is your lifeline to avoid COVID. And then I go on to say, and it pures, and it makes the air pristine, pure, as long as you're in here. So you're not even breathing any contaminants. And I explained to them what that is. They are so surprised when you tell them that, when I've told them that they immediately hold back and they really listen. But the only way I knew to do that was I have to go in and I have to look at their machines. What it does is I've actually been telling somebody who's sitting at the other one, not this one, about the technology, and you get people really interested in, wow, I didn't know that. I thought it was just sucking everything out of the air and sending it into me. And it's a real confusing technology because it makes no sense based on our past filtration consciousness. And to get people unhooked, as you have had to do over and over and over again, probably 100 times, if not more, that this is not a filter. This is not a chemical spray system. And then you tell them what it is, and they're absolutely amazed. And I always put my finger up and point to the sky, and I said, this technology has been in the International Space Station for almost 25 years. It's their technology, and it's what's keeping them alive. They're not getting sick up there, and why should you get sick down here? Yeah, I said.
Of course, we don't really know if they're not getting sick.
But we know they're using our technology.
That's right.
And all they do is kind of look at you, goes, really? Wow. I always get, wow, I didn't know that. Well, I'm not telling anybody out there what you don't already know, and probably what most of you do, and probably have your own methodology for keeping your face, your number, your name in people's awareness. So that's kind of the short and long of what we do and what we've done, and what we wrestle with, and where our successes, if nothing more than just in my own mind, come from.
I would just like to add one thing, because I know there's probably going to be questions. We have someone on the call tonight. This is Donna Wicker, who I invited her on because she has a wonderful story about how COVID impacted her family. So Donna, could you put yourself unmuted, and thank you, and just put yourself on video in the lower left-hand corner. You're almost on video.
Okay.
You're almost there. If you can't, can you start the video where it says in the lower left-hand corner, it's either stop or start?
If nothing more hurts.
If you can't, you can just tell your story.
Because it's a very powerful story.
It's a very powerful story. You with us, Donna?
Yeah, I have it on stop.
If you kind of click it again,
Okay.
it should be on start.
It looks like she has her camera on.
Oh,
because
right.
it's not showing up, but
Yeah.
it's not connecting to Zoom.
Oh,
It's okay.
it's
Tell us
okay,
your story.
Donna. You can tell us your story. You still with us?
No, she's muted.
Oh, you've just muted yourself.
Unmute and
You have to unmute.
Okay, you're ready.
You're ready to talk.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear
Yes.
you great.
Yes.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay. I was in the audience with when Mark came to Our Lady of the Lake and presented the product to Father Chauncey. And I was suffering from very bad asthma. And
Donna, I
but
think your
told
internet
me
connect.
that
You're in a internet
You're-
connect.
Donna, your internet connection.
Needed it for my asthma.
Okay.
And the whole thing about, you can't hear?
It's
breaking
your
up.
internet. Your internet is breaking up. It's not a stable connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how to fix that.
Well, you're sounding good now.
Let's see.
Yeah, just go forward. If
You're
you're
okay now.
So what do I
Yes.
do?
Yeah, you're
I don't know
doing-
what to
Just
do.
keep talking, you're fine.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead, Donna. This is JK.
Okay.
Tell us
Okay.
about Thanksgiving, Donna. Tell us about Thanksgiving.
Oh. So I go and I saw the results. Thanksgiving Day, my son and his wife and daughter came, and from a different household, my sister came, and from a different household, my grandson and his wife came. He didn't feel good at that time.
Her son didn't feel good.
So
He came from California and didn't feel good.
we were all together for 2 to 3 days. They all left. My son went back home. Right. So he went back home. Boss had COVID, and he was exposed to it. And the next day he came down. He had it, his wife had it, and his daughter had it. That were here at my house with the machine, none of us got it.
And that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom
And
line.
I was just ecstatic.
Because they were the spreaders potentially, because they
That's
came
right.
into the house from California with COVID already. It just hadn't showed up except in its milder form. And it was all over the house as a result of all three of them having it.
Wow.
And when her son
And
went,
my son had it, I almost lost my son. I almost lost my son because of it.
and what
And
Donna is saying is that
It was that bad.
she almost lost her son. Her son is 50 years old. And when he went back to California,
The rest of us did not get it.
right.
Yeah, and that's the bottom of the bottom line is they showed up, but because of, as the technology we're always aware of, it just didn't, it got killed as soon as they walked through the door. And I loved it when Joe Urso told that to the reporter, said, I walk into a room with this technology on, and within a matter of seconds, everything around me that I brought in or that could have COVID viruses is all dead. And that's what she experienced for 3 full days with nobody else getting sick. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll have Donna
Thank you
on.
for inviting me.
Yeah, Joffney Mark, I'd like to have her back on when maybe there's a clear connection, or if we could get a recording. That's the testimony. That's what how we're helping people. And I have to say this, somebody popped up on the screen and it said, bravo.
Yeah.
I mean, tonight, when Becky and I lived up in New York, we'd go to plays and go to Lincoln Center and all that. And when when it was really, really good, people just jump up, bravo, bravo, bravo. So 3 bravos tonight. I'm telling you, it's great, great, great. Mark, do you have anything else you want to share that you can think of, or Joffney?
Yeah,
Not that I can think of.
I'm probably older than everybody else on this screen.
He's 81.
Point being that there isn't an age that makes a difference if in fact your heart and mind is tied in with the phenomenal aspect of this technology.
Give us the 4 Ds one more time that we fight every day.
Well, we fight doubt, because doubt is so built into the reality that we keep looking at, and we doubt aspects of it. That here's a big doubt, and that is that I doubt that I am worthy. That's huge. We wrestle with worthiness. We wrestle with the fear, and we don't really put it this way, what we call invisibility. Am I making a difference? Does anybody even recognize I'm in the room, that I have a reality? So we have doubt. It's always swimming around, and yet it's not going away. All you have to do is say, what do I do with it? Well, you ignore it and you move on to a picture that is much more positive. Disappointment. Everybody's familiar with disappointment. You can't be in this business and not drop down into the pit of disappointment. It's just how far down you want to go and how long do you want to stay there. And eventually you say, well, this is not getting me anywhere. I'm just getting tired of being disappointed. And then I have a card that gets me out of it. I have activities that get me out of it. Delusionment, it's part of the same package. And discouragement. Joffney was saying, just for a moment, yes, a couple days ago when she was watching with Michael Jackson and everybody who was selling all of these things, and we've been in contact with the school for almost 10 months. And of course, they wanted to go a different direction. It's called on the cheap. It's fine. If we do everything the CDC says, we got all of our screens, we've got all X, Y, and Z, we don't have to spend the money. And they understand that the schools are gifted if they have high attendance. They get money from the state. They can pay for their units in a matter of 3 or 4 years by being able to ask the state for the money that represents the 80% increase in attendance. It's hard for them to understand that until you tell them flat up. But here's the biggest kicker I ever thought of, and I presented to the school system, and she really took notes.
Let me just say that this is the Lake Havasu Unified School District, and he just spoke with the superintendent whom he knew.
And the reason I went there is I wanted to get to our state superintendent, and I wanted her to guide me to that person, because they got money coming. But what I said to her, and it had only dawned on me because I spent a fair amount of time just focusing on where my presentation should go when I go to see her, and I did that last Wednesday. When these kids walk into this classroom, if there's no contaminants, and forget about the pathogens, if there's nothing in the air but pristine, clean air, you're going to get students for the first time in their life bright-eyed and ready to learn. And the teacher will also have that reality. They cannot calculate how valuable that is because they've never seen it before in all of their teaching experience. Parents haven't seen that of their own kids either. Schools are one of the most contaminated places around because there's so many different personalities and kids and bodies and stuff that everybody's dragging in there, as well as the volatile organic compounds that are always being spewed out. And I tell them, I says, if you can get rid of all of that stuff and your kids come to school in the morning they go on recess and they come back into an environment that is so pristine that there's nothing in the air. Their immune systems and their brains are going to provide a perfect learning environment. So she really liked that. And that's what I was trying to emphasize. Dealing with COVID is short-term. It does not work if you're just dealing with COVID. People will buy it for the short term. I can't sell on the short term. I always highlight, why are you doing this for you? And it's for the long term. And they get it. So that's what I wanted to add.
That is a great, great, great comment, in that you are so right. The sale is the sale, and COVID is short term. But what the unit does with COVID and after COVID's gone, when you mention about the energy and for the students and the teachers, that is so absolutely true. It changes everything in that schoolroom. It changes everything in people's offices. It changes everything that place is at. It's phenomenal. Guys, y'all did a great job. I mean, I appreciate you so much. I really, 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 really do. One of these days, we'll get out there and
just don't do it in the summer. It's too hot.
Too hot. Well, I'm from Alabama, so it's just
well, it's 115 here in the summer, so that's over the top.
That's hot. Yes, that's on the border of hell, I think, isn't it? When it gets that hot. Hey guys, appreciate it. Thank you so much. We've got a bunch of questions, so here's what I'm going to do. It's late. I'm going to ask, if you're really serious about a question, that you email that question to me. Okay, it's jkbaker46@aol.com. You don't have to preach a sermon to me. You don't have to, just give me the question. And that's all, jkbaker46@aol.com. And AOL tells you how old I am. That right there tells you how old I am. I'm thinking of keeping it because I'll be the last one in the world with one, and it may be worth something. See, so I'm going to hang on to it. So I'll get those questions, and then Joffney, we'll be emailing each other, and we'll go from there. Again, thank you guys. Handsome couple, beautiful people. Joffney and Mark, we thank you so much, and everybody. We'll see you next Sunday night. Thank you so much. You can unmute yourself, everybody, and say hello.
Thank you.
Thank you
for your patience.
Thanks, Mark.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark.
Outstanding, you guys. Thank you so much.
Really
Wonderful, Mark.
Great information. Thank you.
Tremendous
job.
Tremendous job.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Good night, y'all.
God bless you all. God bless you.
Thank you guys so much.
Make a focus card. Make a focus card.
Yes. We're gonna make the card. Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good to see you both again. Thank you so much for this.
Take care, everyone.
Emiliano.
Love you. Let's go.
Thank you, Emiliano, for helping me out.
Good night. Peace.